Niners fans, it's about that time. Monday night, 7 o'clock p.m. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Faithful Niner Empire. What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay. What an honor and a privilege it is to be on back with the best fans in the NFL, the faithful, the Niner Empire. Always a pleasure to be on. And this is my second night in a row streaming. Obviously, we had a lot of news come out today about the Niners. John Lynch had a press conference. Also, some notable players were involved in the press conference as well. Huge shout out everyone watching Jay intheBay Facebook, Jay intheBay YouTube, Jay intheBay Twitter. And I do have a special guest with me tonight. I'm sure you guys know him already. If you don't, I don't know where you've been, especially if you've been on YouTube and you search the 49ers. This gentleman's YouTube channel comes up time after time again. He's almost got, I think he's at 4.4K subscribers, I believe. And you already know, when you come on the Jay intheBay YouTube channel and I have a guest on, all their social media links are in the description, so make sure you check him out if you haven't heard of this gentleman. He goes by the name of 49ers First Takes. Let's bring him on. What's good? How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing excellent, man. There was a lot of news that came out today, and I had an urge to come on to hear from the faithful. Also wanted to hear from you on several topics and news that came out today, and also just we'll talk about the offseason as a whole and how you feel free agency. And I feel it's always great to collab with you because we know I'm more of a positive Pete guy and you are more of I think I would say you are a realist. I would say that. I think in part of me being a positive Pete, I kind of look at only the positive things a little bit. But you're a realist. You take everything into account. And that's why I love having you on. And also, you're a great content creator. So for those that don't know First Takes, tell them where they can find you and what they can expect from your YouTube channel. Let the people know.
49ers First Takes is 49ers First Takes on YouTube. 49ers First Takes on Twitter. My name is Aaron Labigan. You can find me on Twitter at either that or 49ers First Takes. I'm on Instagram. My Facebook page is more or less my personal Facebook page. I don't really post too much 49er stuff on there. My channel, I think me and Jay are pretty similar. Breaking news, collaborative live streams, solo live streams. I've been a little bit less with the live streams lately. Me and Jay are both agreeing that like sometimes, you know, it's just you have other things going on in life. But I will say, and Jay is aware of this, I do have a weekly show in the works that I will do with right now 3 other content creators. Jay is also might be on there from time to time. And it's going to have a cool vibe to it. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil anything because I don't want anybody to copy it. But it's going to be a cool weekly show. It could either be weekly or bi-weekly. I would assume with the off season, it might not be as consistent. But as we get closer to the season, it'll definitely be something that'll be on my channel every single week. And I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, when I know more about it and everything's kind of concrete, I'll let you guys know. But yeah, that's pretty much what you can expect. And like Jay says, I am somewhat negative and I'm realist, but that's just my personality. I'm a New Yorker, so I'm kind of hard to please. Jay's got that West Coast vibe going, and that's okay too.
Absolutely, man. And I think it's a good combination.
And I got Jay's mug as well too. So hey, what up?
That's a hell of a mug, and I got yours as well, man. Hell of a mug. 49ers First Takes. All right. Hey, I appreciate the support, man. I appreciate it. And if you guys are looking to get some merch or you like that mug you saw, all of our links are in the social media. All of our social media links are in the description of this video. So you can just click on the link. We both have Linktree, which is very easy. You just click on the link and bam, all our social media info pops up. But huge shout out to everyone in the chat. A few people have commented so far. We have the platform 246. What's good? And this is Lawrence, YouTuber, also talks about the 49ers. We had a collaboration yesterday also with Niner Sickness. So huge shout out to you, man, for coming through And check out the Platform 246. We also have Corey Davis. What's good? Hope all is well in your hood, KD. He says, hello, Jay in the Bay and 49ers First Take, man. Glad you could be on the show with us. And feel free, people who are watching, feel free to chime in the comments section. I will definitely try to read as many comments as I can within an hour. And, man, I appreciate everyone's support. Now, let's get into what happened today. So I think we'll start off with the latest news. Not sure if everyone heard this. This just came out maybe about 2 or 3 hours ago, but the Aziz Al-Shahir signs a 1-year RFA contract back with the 49ers. I like this move. Al-Shahir, he stepped in greatly when Greenlaw was hurt last year, and I think he kind of solidified himself in this linebacker core. I think this linebacker core is best when you have 3 linebackers healthy with Warner, Greenlaw, and Al-Shahir. But Al-Shahir and Greenlaw will be free agents next March. So, and I think they're unrestricted free agents, I believe. So it'll be interesting to see how this team navigates that. Do we draft a linebacker this year, or we'll see what happens. But what were your thoughts when you first saw this, First Takes?
I'm a big Aziz Al-Shahir guy, so I had seen earlier that he hadn't signed his tender, and literally during the press conference, after I left after the John Lynch stuff because I was a little hot, and through my feed, I think you I don't know if somebody put a video out that says Aziz Al-Shahir had resigned. And I'm a big Aziz guy. I'm a big Greenlaw guy. There's people in the offseason say, we should trade this, that, and the other, and I'm like, no. Keep as many as you can. When healthy, I think they're one of the strongest linebacking cores in the NFL. As far as drafting, I would assume that the Niners are always in most ways, not always, but in most ways they're one step ahead. So I wouldn't be surprised if they addressed linebacker in the draft. I know they brought in the free agent from, I forget who they say is a special teamer, but also can contribute
from Green Bay.
Yes. So you never know. He could be a possibility. I think Demetrius Flanagan-Foles is coming back. So linebacking core for now looks really good. So I'm pretty happy with the move. I actually liked him a little bit more than Greenlaw because I just think he's I don't know. He gives me a little bit more of a. He gives me a little bit more of like he's a bigger hitter. I feel like he's a little bit more physical. But, that's just me.
And he has been healthier as of last year. That's for sure. But, yeah, I can't wait to see this linebacking core. I think that is one of the strengths on this team is the linebacking core. I think you could argue – I know the defensive line has more guys, but I think you could argue just, the 3 best linebackers and the 3 best defensive linemen, I think they go neck and neck. I mean, I think they're one of the best units that we have in the NFL, I believe. Gotta say what's good to Frank. Thanks for tuning in to the stream tonight, man. Hopefully all is well. And feel free to hit that thumbs up button. Let me know that let me and First Takes know that you guys are enjoying the stream so far. Now, there was also another bit of news. No surprise here, but the 49ers do pick up Nick Bosa's 5th-year contract. He's expected to make about $17 million next season. And Lynch did say that they plan on working on a contract extension, or I should say the communication is still open to that. But if I'm Nick Bosa, and I'd love to get your feelings on this as well. If I'm Nick Bosa, I wouldn't sign this offseason. Well, one, the Niners don't have a salary cap. Let's be real right this moment. But also, Nick Bosa, I'm sure you want to bet on yourself. Yep. I think he wants to have another double-digit sack season, maybe get an All-Pro nod, a Pro Bowl season, and his price tag will continue to go up. But how would you feel? Do you think it'd be in Nick Bosa's best interest if we had the salary cap to sign this offseason or next offseason?
Next offseason. The Bosas are all about their money. Nick, his father played. Their father played. Excuse me. Joey has gotten his money. I don't know if Joey held out. I'm not sure. I think he did. Fact of the matter is, no. The fact of the matter is, their family is all about their money.
Yeah. And I don't think Joey missed any games, but I think he did hold out until deep into training camp, and I think it was due to the contract language. So, yeah, they know what they expect, and they know what they want, especially within that contract.
Yeah, and he, I mean, he's a foundational piece on that in this franchise. Pass rushers, elite pass rushers, don't grow on trees. So when you got one, you got to keep it. So if I'm Bosa, I mean, I bet on myself. I go another year. I say, hold off on the negotiations. Let me get another 16 to 20 sack year under my belt, and then we'll go to the table and talk turkey. You know what I mean? Hopefully the Niners learn from this Debo situation that we're going to get into and do better with the Nick Bosa situation, because they could only go up from where they are right now with the Debo situation.
No, absolutely. And as you said, Nick Bosa, I think he's arguably the best draft pick that the 49ers have had so far. Hopefully Trey Lance will surpass that. But he is a pillar. He is a building block for the 49ers. I hope to see Nick Bosa retire a 49er. That's what I hope to see. So
same.
Gotta say what's good to Roberto. Thanks for tuning in to the stream tonight. Appreciate you for checking in. Frank says next offseason will be good. Hey, I completely agree with that. And let's get on with our next topic. Who do you anticipate will start opposite of Nick Bosa?
If I had to say who I think, it's probably gonna. I want to say, because I as I'm about to say this, I'm like changing my own mind. If I had to bet on it, I would say maybe a draft pick. The Niners could go edge in the second. The Niners could go edge in the third. I can't imagine that they don't go edge at some point in this draft. Just because, they have a lot of good bodies and a lot of depth, but they don't have that guy who unlocks the pass rush like D4 did in 2019. A speed rusher, like a guy that has the bend that could get around the corner quick, because right now Bosa gets all the attention, and it would be nice to have someone else on the other side. So if I'm gonna pick somebody, I don't think anybody of the current crop that we got, even though I think Teray could be something special with Chris Kasarik, I think it's going to be a draft pick. What draft pick that is, I have no idea.
You're telling me you're not a believer in Samson E. Buckham?
He's good depth. He could turn into something next year. When I saw us in 2019 and how we used to just abuse quarterbacks, it'd be nice to go back to that. And hopefully, they could prove me wrong and not touch edge in the draft at all. Maybe it's just not on their board. It's not a, BPA, best player available. But we'll see.
Samson, he's making a pretty penny. He's making $5 million a year, and the 49ers could let him go, but I don't think they will at this point in the season, even though you could argue it's still early. But I think the Lynch values defensive linemen, and we're going to have at least 8 to 10 defensive linemen on the active roster, I believe. And I think with the combination of Samson, we brought back Kerry Hyder, who kind of rejuvenated his career with the 49ers, and Chris Kasarik. When Nick Bosa went out in 2020, he led the team with 8.5 sacks. Obviously, he didn't do too well in Seattle, but I think he'll be around a much better talent of players with Nick Bosa, with Armstead, and Kinlaw. So I think, maybe he won't get as many double teams. He'll get some one-on-one matchups. He'll be able to eat. So I like Samson. I like the combination of Samson, Teray, Hyder. And I think that's a pretty good, threesome there. And I definitely anticipate the 49ers select the edge rusher early in the draft, because that's just what they do. The Niners select edge rushers. They selected a defensive lineman every year, except, of course, McGlinchey and Trey Lance in the first round. So I anticipate they'll do that early.
I think so too, but I think with the depth that they have, it won't be a pressure. Like, they won't be pressured to pick one at 61. I feel because of the depth that they've added throughout the roster, 61 will literally be best player available. So they could go safety, they can go interior offensive line, and they could go edge. I think they could go a number of ways. This team, whether we want to admit it, and I'm a negative person when it comes to, I think the Niners sometimes need to make an explosive move in the offseason, and they did. They signed Javarius Ward. They did a lot of they did a lot of under the radar depth signings. So, like I said, I think BPA is what it's going to be at 61. If they go edge at 61, I'll be elated. But if they don't, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. I got to say, hot diggity dog. You shout out Blue True for that $5 donation. Appreciate you for tuning in to the stream tonight, Blue True. You mentioned BPA. You mentioned the secondary and the 49ers. I just don't get the sense that they value the safety position. Obviously, you got a lot of young safeties coming out. Nick Cross, there's several other guys out there. For some reason, their names are escaping me right now, but you guys know the names. I'm sure you guys have done your share of mock drafts, but the 49ers just doesn't seem like they value the secondary. They haven't really drafted a guy in the secondary really high with this regime. And they love edge rushers, and I think they will do that. I would love to see them draft a safety. He could compete for that safety spot opposite of Jimmy Ward, but it just doesn't seem like they value it that much. And they value someone who can get after the edge, or who can get after the quarterback from an edge rushing position. You mentioned interior offensive line, and John Lynch spoke about that with about Alex Mack.
Yep.
And Alex Mack has not indicated he will return to the 49ers. I think this would be his 14th season if he does return. Now, something I just found out within the last few days, Alex Mack does have a $100,000 workout bonus, and he's currently forfeiting that bonus by not showing up to off-season workouts. So by hearing that, do you think he's still coming back, or do you think he's retiring?
I think he's retiring. That's what a lot of Niner guys, YouTubers, content creators, just regular people on Twitter. A lot of people are saying they think he's done. And hey, he got married in the offseason in Ireland. Kittle was at his wedding. Dude, get out while your body is still functional. You've made your money. Be with your beautiful wife. I have no issue with that. I just had, my issue really is, it's just, sometimes I feel like the Niners get a little too comfortable in the offseason with certain decisions that are, and they feel like they paint themselves into a corner with this particular situation. But I could be wrong. There could be a free agent out there that they look for, or like I said, maybe they go in the draft. Maybe they have somebody in house already that they think could fill that spot. He isn't the same Alex Mack that we knew in Atlanta in his glory days. So I like if he did come back because of cohesion,
right,
and having the same guys there the year before. But at the same time, if he doesn't come back, which I don't think he is, it looks like the Niners draft might have to include an interior offensive lineman at some point. Who knows? It could be at 61.
Absolutely, or it could be even sooner. Maybe they trade up to get into the first round. I would be shocked if they did that to pick up an interior offensive lineman. I don't think we've ever done that. Yeah, I don't know if Shanahan values a center that much.
Right.
Tyler Lindenbaugh out of Iowa would be great. I think he's regarded as the best interior offensive lineman out there, but I think he may be expected to go out in the first round, or I should say get drafted in the first round. But with Alex Mack, I think, and that leads to my next question. Do you think there's a replacement? The replacement for Alex Mack, do you think he's on the roster right now? And I'll just quickly say, they have Jake Brendel. I know he hasn't had any Pro Bowls or started many games yet, but he is a guy for right now. You've got the versatile, Daniel Brunskill, who can basically play any position along the offensive line. He could play center. So what say you? Do you think, if Mack doesn't return, the 49ers could draft his replacement with their first pick, or I should say their highest pick? Or do you think they'll settle on either, Brendel or Brunskill?
I'm starting to think that it might be someone that's on the roster, like you said, either Brunskill or Brendel. And they could always pick up somebody a little bit more down the line to compete with them in training camp. There's a name going around in free agency that everybody keeps talking about. I forget his name. I know Jesse Naylor. Props to Jesse. Huh?
Cole Strange?
I have no idea who it is. It definitely isn't Cole Strange.
Okay.
But the Niners just don't have the money. It's not like they can make the move anyways. But I really, when it comes to an interior offensive lineman, man, depending on a draft pick, it's scary to me. You know what I mean? I'd rather have somebody there who knows how to call games, who knows how to, call protections and stuff like that. To stick a rookie in there is not especially with Trey Lance, his first year as a starter. Do you really want a rookie center? I don't. I'd take a Brendel or a Brunskill over a rookie just because they've played in the NFL already. But
yeah,
I really don't know, Jay. I really don't. I hate this feeling. I feel like we did this before with Joe Staley, but we had Trent Williams in the works already. So
right.
I don't know, man. That's not the best feeling. And this offensive line has got nothing but question marks, but we'll see.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if this regime relies on maybe Brunskill to slide to that center position. I won't be surprised by that. I would love for them to draft an interior offensive lineman who can, play with Trey Lance for the next decade in the center position.
Yep.
I like to say, hey, I want the Niners to draft their Jeff Saturday. Jeff Saturday played with Peyton Manning for a decade. I would love to see that come to fruition, but we'll see what happens. But definitely there's another question mark going into the draft, especially if Mac doesn't return, which doesn't seem like he is. I mean, I know he's made a lot of money, but just to forfeit $100K, just by not showing up, that seems like there could be.
I could pay off my house with $100K.
Right, exactly. Right.
I'd be like, thank you very much.
And that's just for showing up. So, but it seems like it's kind of like the Joe Staley situation where we didn't know if he was coming back, but Joe Staley kept it quiet until I think after the draft or whatever, or in May or June. So that way the 49ers, people didn't know that the 49ers needed to draft someone to replace, Staley. And I think seems like this is a situation that's rearing its ugly head again. But no doubt, Alex Mack has had a hell of a career. And if he wants to hang it up, man, more power to him. Like you said,
Yep.
Go out while you're still intact and you can walk off the field and not get carried out. So
Mazel tov to him, man, for sure.
Absolutely. Frank says, yeah, I think we're going to draft a pass rusher. Absolutely. I definitely think we're going to do that. Shay Martinez, what's good? Appreciate you coming in to the stream tonight, man. Hopefully you enjoy. I would say let's talk about Debo. Let's do it. I would love to hear your thoughts on Lynch's. I would love to hear your thoughts about John Lynch and his basically defiant attitude by not talking about Deebo Samuel in this press conference today. Did that leave you with more questions after the press conference, or were you assured that they're going to work this out?
I feel worse about it than before I watched it. I had a feeling. Somebody in your comments said he went full politician. I had a feeling he was going to go full politician. The defiant attitude and kind of like the uneasiness that he was showing really kind of pissed me off, actually. Just because, Larry Krueger made a good point. The Cardinals came out in their pre-draft press conference and were like, we're not trading Kyler Murray. Boom, took care of it, got rid of it, swept it under the rug, and that was that. The fact that you did not address it in any way means the question's still out there. And I just get the feeling just from his tone, his body language. I said in my video today, it's like if I could get a body language expert to kind of read into Lynch. Lynch looks super uneasy in that press conference. I don't know about you, but I don't have a positive. I don't have a positive feeling about this that he's going to end up staying. I very well think that he might end up getting moved. The reasons why, who knows? But it's just, you have this press conference and you have an ability to shut a lot of stuff down by just answering the question. I made a video today and a lot of people attacked me saying that they don't owe us anything and they don't owe the reporters anything. True, but they didn't seem this cloak and dagger last year when they were trying to re-sign Fred Warner or George.
I think Aaron might have froze. Let's see if he will regain his Wi-Fi connection and come back to us.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I see you now. Okay, yeah, continue.
Yeah, I just don't situation and why they're so off-put about talking to the media about anything. So, yeah, I didn't have a really good vibe with John Lynch. I don't get a good feeling with his handling of a lot of stuff this offseason. The Jimmy thing, this situation. So I was. It's just my opinion, but I felt like he could have put a lot of things to bed by just kind of confronting the situation and being like, yeah, we're going to re-sign him. We're going to do everything in our power. But he kind of made the political statement, which is, I can't imagine him playing for anybody else or having him not play on this team. It makes, won't make this, like him being on the team makes this team better, and him not being here, like you don't get rid of good players, that kind of thing. So I don't know, man. I'm disappointed in Lynch. I feel like he could have put out a huge fire today, but he didn't do it. So,
and that's the beautiful thing about being on this earth, being human. Everyone reacts to something differently. I got the exact opposite feeling when I saw the press conference from John Lynch.
This is interesting.
He does have to be political. He is the general manager. Let's be real. This is a business. If the Jets offer, their whole freaking draft this year, I think the Niners would trade Debo. Like, let's be real. Any player can get traded. Joe Montana got traded. Charles Haley got traded. Let's be real. But you mentioned Fred Warner. You mentioned George Kittle in their contract negotiations. They didn't do the same thing that Debo's doing. I think a lot of fans are turned off by what Debo is doing.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, and I respect Debo, and obviously I love what he's done for the team. I hope he retires a 49er. But the stuff you do on social media, scrubbing your IG, liking posts that have you pictured in another team's uniform. I mean, that's none of the other guys did that for the 49ers. No, I don't remember the last time a player did this in negotiations. So I think it rubbed a lot of fans the wrong way. It rubbed me wrong. And honestly, if they trade him, I won't be surprised. I won't be disappointed because, hell, he said he didn't want to be here.
Right.
If he comes back, hey, he scores a touchdown, I'm going to be clapping just like every other fan. But and I'll forget about everything, of course, right? But he said I don't want to be here. And
don't make me an offer.
Right. So it's like
you're right.
And Lynch is, I'm sure Lynch is pissed. Would you be pissed? Like why does he have to do this through social media? Like, let's be real. Hey, Debo, you had a hell of a year, right? You had one superb season out of 3. Let's be real. The rookie season, it was good, right? But it wasn't Pro Bowl. It wasn't all pro. It wasn't similar to one of the best seasons that Tyreek Hill or Devontae Adams have had. Let's be real. It was a good season, but he's had one all pro season. And I just don't get it. Why do you have to go through social media and do this? Like, you want the fans on your side. That's not the way to go about it. He could have easily told Shanahan, hey, I don't want to be a wide back. Even though during the season, he was all about being a wide back.
Yeah, he made T-shirts about it and everything.
Exactly. So
you're right.
I think Lynch, I wrote down some quotes. This is what I recall from what Lynch said. He said, basically, he's confident to work through the solutions with Debo. Obviously, there's issues that need to be ironed out. He said basically, hey, we're going to be able to work through those issues. He did say you don't let guys like that walk. And of course, we're talking about Debo Samuel. But I got the impression that they're going to try to work on things. And let's be real. Debo has no leverage. You have 1 year left on your contract. Just because you say, hey, I don't want to be here, I want to be traded, the Niners don't have to grant that request. The Niners shouldn't trade Debo unless we get a king's ransom, 2 first-round picks, a player, a second-round pick. What's the incentive for us to trade Debo? Just because he's unhappy? That's not a good enough incentive for us to trade Debo.
You might have changed my mind on stream here, because the more I'm listening to you, the more I understand why people came at me. My whole thing is when I hear people say, you know, oh, if we get a bunch of draft picks, you know, it'll, you know, then, you know, there's no guarantee who you draft is ever going to be as good as Debo on his best day. Yes, he's only had one good year, but that one good year was fantastic.
Absolutely.
He was the 49ers offense. He propelled them into the playoffs. Right. He propelled them into the NFC Championship game. So I understand from his side why he wants the bag. But you're right. It's one super productive, I mean, really productive year.
Yeah.
The one thing that really got me is like, when I hear he said he didn't even want a contract, he just wanted to be traded. And like what changed? I mean, at the end of the season, remember the Cowboys game? He was talking about, hey, Kyle, you know, give me the ball, blah, blah, blah. And he was like telling Kyle, I'll go score or whatever in so many words. And he went and did it. Like what happened? I don't understand what happened. Did his agent get in his ear, or did his peoples get in his ear? Like the people his crew that he hangs out with? Like what's going on? And what's with the defiant attitude? I don't understand that whatsoever. I mean, if they came at him with a low ball offer, I can understand that. You're right, man. I've never been swayed midstream, but yeah, you don't do your stuff through the media. You do it behind closed doors. So
I think maybe
yeah. Go ahead. I was going to say the young people. That's how they do it now. Some of these young cats, they do it through the media.
Yeah, and I know Kyler Murray has done it. I think his situation is a little bit different. He's the quarterback. So that situation is a little bit different, but hell, he still has 2 years left on his contract. He hasn't even won a playoff game yet. I mean, they didn't even show up. How do you not show up for a playoff game, you know, against your division rival, and then you request, you know, you want a contract extension after that? Like that doesn't make sense to me. But this is how they do their business. But I don't think if Debo wants to try to gain support from the fans, this definitely ain't the way to do it. I mean, I've heard some people say, hell, he doesn't want to be here. We don't need him. And that's why people say you rep the team on the front of the jersey,
right,
and the person on the back, because players go, the team will stay. But obviously, if Debo signs, all this will be forgotten. But, you know, he didn't, you know, the fans, there are definitely some fans who are against him, and I can't blame him. The only thing that changed, if the Niners did lowball him with the $19 million, and I've heard sources, some people say that's not true. You know, they never gave him an offer because hell, maybe the Niners are like, well, you had a superb season, go ahead, do it again. Like you had one great year out of 3. Like maybe that's what they're thinking, but we really don't know. But that's where negotiations start. Like, you know, hey, they start at 19, maybe they'll slowly progress up. I'm sure that's what they did with Kittle and Trent Williams and Fred Warner. Like that's where it starts. Like maybe he's getting bad information from his agent, because I know he's repping 2 other receivers who are trying to get contract extensions this season. So maybe that's what it is, man. Maybe
it's like the Instagram stuff says, or when people do their little stories on TikTok. He didn't understand the assignment. Apparently, I don't know what that means. I don't understand the assignment or whatever, but that's what it seems like.
I think they're maybe saying like he played his cards wrong,
right?
Or, you know, he didn't read the room. Like, yeah, I mean, Debo, you want more money? I get it, man. I'm all for players getting money. I would never tell a player to take less to stay with us.
No.
Like, if you're going to get more money, you go ahead and support your family. I appreciate what you did for us. But I just think, yeah, he didn't have to do all that. You know, he could just went behind closed doors, or like we've never heard any player do this. We didn't hear Fred Warner do this. We didn't hear George Kittle do this. Like, so I don't understand why Debo, maybe he's feeling himself too much. I don't know, but
the situation with Trent Williams was a little bit interesting there, because I know Kyle pretty much was like, get him his money and keep him here.
Right.
Because I think that Parag has been known to lowball and kind of offend players and their agents with some of their, you know, cheap offers and stuff. And I'm not, you know, I've thought about it. I mean, the Niners aren't a cheap franchise. They have a lot of good players on their team. I just think that sometimes they like to be crafty with their bookkeeping instead of just outright paying somebody.
Right.
I agree with No Border Sports. I feel like it's a bad situation all around. I feel like John Lynch could have handled some things differently in the front office and Parag, but you're right. Debo really screwed the pooch with his bad behavior. And he's just acting foolish. Like, dude, you want to get set up for the rest of the next, your first big contract. What are you doing? So yeah, I agree with both sides of it.
This isn't the way to go about it. Like, you don't have to do anything through social media. I don't see what that does for you. That only pisses off the 49ers brass. Like, what is he doing? Like, he's got no leverage. You're not going to sit out Debo. You're scheduled to make $5 million. I say the Niners call his bluff, and he's not going to sit out the season. $5 million. This is the most he would make in his entire career for his rookie deal. There's no way he's sitting out. If he does sit out the whole year, we're right back to where we were next year. He won't get an accrued season. And, I say call his bluff. But I still think the Niners should, try to negotiate something with him because we don't have to trade Debo. For what? Why would we do that? As First Take said, he was our best offensive player last year. Without Debo last year, we wouldn't go to the playoffs. We wouldn't have even had that deep.
We would have been 5-11 we would have been 5 in whatever the record was for 17 games.
Absolutely. Hot diggity dog. I appreciate that $5 super chat. Blue Chew coming in strong tonight. Absolutely. I appreciate that. APW Sports, what's good? Appreciate you joining the stream tonight. He says the Niners have the most questions to answer heading into the draft at this point. If he's comparing to other teams, I don't know the other team's situation, but, I think, you mentioned earlier, that the 49ers, I know some fans were, they want the Niners to get the big fish in free agency, or some people feel that the Niners don't spend money. Well, if you look on this roster, we have a lot of players who are making top dollar at their position. Juice, Kittle, Armstead, Warner, Trent, exactly. So Jimmy Ward, he's making probably a high salary amount for his position as well. So, and then we signed Charvarius Ward. So we want to keep our guys, and I think that's what Lynch intends on doing. There's no doubt, Bosa, I think he'll stay here for sure for many years to come, and hopefully we can re-sign Debo. But I just felt like he didn't play his cards right. But I think fortunately they can still negotiate, and I think hopefully they'll get a deal done. We'll know for sure by Sunday. If he isn't traded, during the draft, then I think he'll come back. I think he'll remain with the team if something doesn't happen during draft weekend draft weekend. Absolutely. Frank says, same here. My feeling about Lynch, I was upset, and I can understand why. Yeah, he just had a weird vibe in that press conference. He was almost defiant. I'm like, why? Because he said, he felt like there was nothing productive that could have come with him talking about Debo's antics. And he didn't want to confirm or deny whether they offered him an extension, which the Niners don't have to offer him an extension. He's still got one more year left. Is Debo deserving of an extension? Absolutely, especially after last season. But the Niners don't have to. You're right. And if you want an extension, Debo, just talk to him. Just say, hey, I want to come to the table. Let's negotiate something out. That's how you do it. You ain't gotta go Kyler Murray. You scrubbing your freaking deal. Yeah, man. I mean, that's why some fans say, hey, trade him. This team is more than one player. That's why there's 53 guys on the roster. So, I mean, David says could be Lynch's way of saying overpay for Debo. From another team's perspective. Right. And I think that's smart because it really makes no sense for the Niners to trade Debo. It just doesn't make any sense. He is the most valuable player. He's the best player on the team. And I don't think you don't get better by getting rid of him. That's all I got to say. Exactly. And as you said, the 49ers, the draft pick is, it's a crapshoot. You don't know what you're going to get. But you could argue that this regime has been the best in the last 2 decades of drafting wide receivers with Ayuk and Debo, and then Jennings as well, 7th round draft pick. So yeah, they definitely were bad in the first, I would say, 12 years, 13 of this last 20 years. But yeah, the last couple have been pretty good. I'm a big Jennings guy. If he can get a little bit of breakaway speed, man, he'd be beast. Yeah, he's a big guy. Absolutely. So I do trust this regime to draft a wide receiver, early or not early, but draft a wide receiver late, maybe day 2 or day 3. I still think you need another wide receiver, even if you keep Debo Samuel, in my opinion. But I could definitely understand why people, they want John Lynch to say, hey, we're not trading Debo. No questions asked. And some people wish he would have said that at the beginning of the press conference, and I can respect that. But I thought I thought it was solid. I mean, he can't say everything like he I know it's good for content, especially content creators, but and he really doesn't owe the fans much. I mean, hey, Debo did what he did on social media. He still has 1 year left on his contract with the Niners, and we expect him to be in training camp. What else is he? I mean,
it's just been a bad look off season. I know. Grant Cohn said something to John Lynch that he wasn't really appreciative of, pretty much implying that, do you think this offseason has been a kind of a failure with just some of the things that have gone on? And man, I see both sides of the argument. That's what I'll say, Jay. I see the people that are a little bit irritable because I feel like the Niners kind of put themselves in this position with just some of the quirky decision-making that they've had. But at the same time, you're right. You don't owe anybody anything in the media. They still have his rights. So, talking about it with a bunch of beat reporters does nothing to help the cause. So I understand both sides. I just, I'm one of those people for me, I can't understand what's changed in the last 2 months or month that we everything seemed like it was heading for a happy marriage. And then all of a sudden we got all this stuff coming out that he wants out. He told them not even to offer him anything. Like, what happened? So I don't know.
I think it's either one of the two things. Either the 49ers didn't offer Debo an extension and he was pissed, or we lowballed him. I think it's one of the two. We'll never really know. But hopefully the two sides can come together. I gotta say, hot diggity dog. I appreciate that $2 donation, KD, to the channel. I appreciate that. Let's see. I'm just gonna read a few of these comments. I would love to hear what is your what do you think Debo was worth on the open market? And Frank says, yeah, I'm sorry, he is not worth $25 million per year yet. What say you, First Takes?
I think he gets a contract somewhere between 22 and 20 or 20 and 23 million, maybe 23 and change, and maybe 65 or maybe 60 million guaranteed, 64 million guaranteed, something like that. It's tough, man. You're right. One really great season of production, but it's just, I have the mindset of a lot of people who cover the Niners. You don't get better by getting rid of your best players. So, man, it's a tough situation. I guess it's a good problem to have, Jay. We could have no good players like the Jets and get turned down in trading for everybody this offseason because people are like, yeah, we're not going to the Jets. So, I mean, it's a good problem to have, but at the end of the day, I don't know, between 20 and 23 million is kind of where I see him. 22 wouldn't be bad, but I don't know.
I think that's fair. I think that's definitely fair. I think he's not
Tyreek
Hill.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
Not Devontae Adams. He's not Stephon Diggs. He hasn't had that track record. He hasn't had that level of consistency yet. And so I think he should be next tier. And if he starts, if it's 22 to 24 and they put some incentives in the contract where he meets certain metrics, hey, play
certain escalators or something.
Yeah, play 15 of 17 games. Get 1,000 receiving yards.
Right. Score 10 touchdowns.
Right.
Something like that.
Exactly. So
right.
Do something like that, and because I think he would fit best with this offense. I mean, from what we've seen, and if he really,
I love him, dude. I freaking love him.
He is the heart and soul of this team. There's no mistake about it. The way he plays, the physical nature, like most receivers. So he reminds me of Steve Smith. That's who he reminds me of. And most players just aren't like that, especially who play wide receiver. But yeah,
Steve Smith without the temper.
Exactly. Yeah.
Steve Smith was a little bit of a hothead.
He was, man. He was. But
remind me of myself a little bit in real life.
That led to his greatness, though.
Yes.
And he was a small guy in stature, and he wasn't taking no L's.
No.
On the field. So
nope.
We got John in the building tonight. What's good? John says, I think all these wide receivers getting paid from the farm influenced Debo as well. Yeah. Especially
I agree.
It's Trent Baalke's fault for signing Christian Kirk And no, now if you look at Christian Kirk's stats, he put up pretty good stats, but he was never the number one receiver. I don't know if he ever went to
was the number. I don't even think he was the number 2 receiver.
Right. Yeah. I think at best he was probably number 3. So, and they paid Christian Kirk that. I'm not mad at him getting the check, but who else was going to give Christian Kirk that money besides the Jags? Like the
Jags paid out the freaking arse for a guy that's a 3rd wide receiver at best on most teams. They're
hoping, I guess, he'll be their number 1 receiver.
Whatever. Jags.
We got Job in the house. What's good? He says the Colts would greatly appreciate it if you could give Debo to the Colts, please, preferably for cheap. Now, if you we won't trade you Debo, we'll give you Jimmy though. We'll definitely do that.
Yeah, we'll give you Jimmy. Just give us give us your center.
Exactly. That'll work, man. That'll work. Yeah. I love David's attitude here. He says Kyle and Debo are close. Kyle could step in and fix it.
Yeah, I really that is one thing that I kind of gives me hope, but at the same time, like, why hasn't he done it by now anyways? Like, well, what are you doing? Like, but he has a lot of stuff to prepare for. Yeah. For the draft. So, and all that, new coaching staff coming in. So I could understand him being a little busy, but yeah, Kyle, if one guy could advocate for him and be like, pound the table and be like, sign this man, it's Kyle Shanahan.
Absolutely. And, honestly, the Niners, they couldn't really sign Debo now. I mean, I know there's a way where they could,
there's ways around the salary cap. That's what Lynch was saying.
Yeah, so they probably could sign him now. Like maybe this year's salary would be like $500,000, but he gets a signing bonus that's $25 million or whatever, and he gets that up front. Like there's definitely different ways where they could make it happen. But I would assume they're probably not either close to a number or 49ers say, hey, prove it again. And that's fair. Some would argue is that the right thing to do.
Could they franchise him 1 year and then next year pay him like what he deserves?
They can franchise him after the next season for the next 2 years if they want to. And I don't think they'll do that. I don't want them to do that.
Nah, I don't want them to either.
Like that. But it's a business. Debo's treating it like a business. The Niners are treating it like a business.
You're right. We have to remember that sometimes as fans. It is a business. There's a business side to football. These dudes are trying to get their generational wealth to take care of them and their family for decades to come. I get both, like I said, I get both sides of it. I get the Niners side, but I also get the frustration of the player because without him, you don't sniff the playoffs. So,
right.
But I just, you're right. There's ways he could have handled himself better. I don't know, man, these young cats, I don't know what's wrong with them sometimes, but I was young once too. And I did a lot of stupid things. So I can't really say nothing.
Maybe he got bad advice because it kind of came out of nowhere. And I just don't think it's the right way to do things. Like, I don't see how this benefits him.
Right. He's been really braggadocious this offseason. Like, if you watch a lot of his Instagram stories, I'm just like, what is this? What happened? He seemed like such a humble guy, and now all of a sudden he's, I don't know.
He blew up.
He blew up.
I mean, he had a hell of a year. I mean, he's had the greatest season the 49 players ever have. I mean, greater than Jay Rice. As far as he had the most yards from scrimmage, I'll say that.
Yeah, let's never ever discredit the GOAT. Jerry Rice is the greatest football player that ever put on cleats.
Absolutely, no mistake about it.
Nobody touching Jerry.
Sports. I like this comparison for people who have shopped at GameStop. They get
hell comparison. Yeah! I saw that about 10, 15 minutes ago, and I was like, exactly.
Oh man, yeah, that's pretty funny. Parag, aka GameStop. Blue Chew says maybe he is following Kyler Murray's lead. I think so, definitely, but I just don't see how that works in his favor. I mean, I just don't get it. APW Sports, I'm a fan of Debo. He tore up my Bears. He's taking a James Harden-like approach, honestly. Well,
please do not compare him to James Harden. He is like a cancer wherever he goes.
Yeah.
He's really good in the regular season, but it does absolutely doo-doo in the postseason. So.
Yeah. Hopefully they can work it out.
I'm not attacking you, APW. I'm just saying I'm not a big fan of him.
What do you think about this, John? Would you trade Debo to Jax for number 1 overall pick?
It's hard to answer. Yeah, If you could trade, I wouldn't pick at number one. Yeah. I would trade out of that spot and get multiple first rounders and
Or what if you get the best?
Good question, John.
What if you get the best edge rusher on the planet with that number one overall pick and you match him up with Bosa?
All day and twice on Sunday. Yes, I would.
Oh, yeah, or maybe trade back and maybe in the mid first round or whatever. And
I would rather do that because then you could get two birds with one stone. You can get a wide receiver. I wouldn't go wide receiver with your first pick. I would go edge rusher with your first pick.
Yeah,
and then go wide receiver. Don't go player for player. We learned that with the DeForest Buckner and Javon Kinlaw situation. Player for player. It never seems to work out, or at least it didn't work out this last time. So.
Yeah, and Shea Martinez says number 10 pick is a perfect spot to be in. Yeah, because you could go, wide
you can go multiple ways,
or edge rusher, or maybe if Sauce Gardner is there, maybe you pick him up. But I doubt the Niners would do that because they've already got Charvarius, you already got Emmanuel Mosley, you got Lenore, you got Ambry Thomas. So I'd be surprised if they.
We even got that dude from that we signed in the offseason. They said he might make a strong push to play the.
Was that Denard?
Denard, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so I would be surprised if they did that, but it looks like Platform 246 says I think we lowballed him as far as an offer to Debo.
I kind of feel like that has to be the situation. They must have just offended him and his agent to the point where they were like, "Screw this, we're going to act like petulant idiots and get ourselves traded out of here because of bad behavior." So,
but the thing is with Debo, he's got no leverage. He can sit out. I mean, the new CBA basically stipulated, hey, if you sit out a training camp, the mandatory days, I think it's like 40,000 a day that they'll fine a player. And I don't think teams can rescind those fines. I mean, I'm sure they could work it into the next contract or whatever. Like, hey, if you show up on time to meetings, you'll get the money back or whatever. I'm sure they could put that in the contract, but it doesn't benefit the player to sit out, and also he'll lose an accrued season. So, I think the Niners, hey, treat this like a business. Play hard ball. He had one superb season. That's great, but, they don't have to offer you a contract extension now.
Yeah. I mean, we got other players on the roster we can go to, and we could always draft your replacement. So.
Right. Exactly. OYG, what's good? Appreciate you tuning in to the stream tonight, man. Platform says, what about just adding incentives? Exactly. That's what we spoke about earlier. I think they should. I mean, there's incentives in every contract.
You put escalators in someone's contract and you're like, listen, you hit 1,000 yards, 80 receptions and 10 touchdowns. We'll give you, I don't know, $10 million guaranteed or something. 15. I don't know. I don't know contract stuff.
And they have incentives for everything. Blue True agrees with you. First Takes. Blue True says you're right. First Takes. It is a good problem to have, and I think that's talking about that's what teams want to do. That's the recipe for success.
It's good to have good players that are upset about stuff.
You draft well. I mean, you scouted these players. You draft well. You develop them, and now you reward them with the contract extension. That's how it's supposed to work.
Now every team in the NFL is looking to get their own Debo, so you did something right.
Exactly. And you mentioned earlier that the Niners shouldn't just draft player for player.
Right.
And you mentioned the Javon Kinlaw. I would argue that I don't think this defense has really taken a massive hit. I mean, you look at this defense has been the backbone of this team. I mean, this defense was top 5 in a lot of categories throughout the entire year. Now, I know Javon Kinlaw, he's not Pro Bowl, All Pro yet. And he may never get that, but I think, fortunately, DJ Jones, another guy we drafted day 3, he turned out to be a stud, got paid in Denver. So we've been able, I guess you could say, overcome that, but I don't think it's really hindered us.
The thing with him is if you're drafted in the top 15 and you're replacing a guy like DeForest Buckner, there are certain expectations, and he has not lived up to those expectations. Yeah. We've had good players around him that have kind of insulated him and protected him. But how much better would we be if he was that defo on this defense? We'd be ridiculous. So, right now it's cool because we have a bunch of depth and stuff. But for where they for what they gave up and who he's replacing and where, I mean, a top 15 pick is a top 15 pick. There's some expectations. So yeah, you're right. He's been protected and he hasn't been exposed and he's done relatively fine. But man, how much better would this defense be if he was the player that they thought they were getting out of South Carolina?
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no defense in that. He has not lived up to that, that 13th overall pick just yet. And hopefully this year, all the stars will be aligned, and and he'll be able to.
I hope he's healthy this year.
Out of his opportunity. Yeah, I hope so. That's all we can really hope.
He said he was good last year, and he was really contentious with the media. And then it's like, but then he was hurt all year, so the media was right. Like, don't be mad at the media.
Kind of like Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, he was hot at the media too.
Man, I'm not hurt. There's nothing wrong with my knee. What are you talking about?
First game done. I don't understand. Like, if you're a player that's hurt a lot and the media labels you injury prone, why are you mad?
Yeah,
you are injury prone.
Yeah.
I know it's not a cool label, and it's like, oh man, you're a hater. No, if you consistently miss 4 to 5 games a year every single year, you're injury prone. So don't get mad.
Yeah,
stay healthy, and then no one will call you that. That's it.
And sometimes it's out of guys' control. I mean, sometimes
genetics are what they are. Sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I could never play sports. I'm too broken down at 40.
We got Pale Time in the building. What's good?
I love that dude.
He says, "Hey Jay and Aaron, are you guys loving talking about Debo and Jimmy?"
Well, I'm peeing in my pajamas right now talking about it.
That's funny. David says Trent Baalke is a bum. He had to overpay because no respectable player wants to play for the Jags. And in free agency, you kind of always overpay for players in free agency. That just kind of.
Well, I mean, look at the Niners at the year that they got John Lynch and Kyle. They overpaid for a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
Freaking. I'm trying to think of they got like Goodwin. They had man, I can't think of any of the guys right now, but they brought in like Pierre Garçon.
Yep.
I mean, Juszczyk, who's been the only one that's
Malcolm
really
Smith. They brought in.
Yeah, they went ultra crazy for like middle of the pack guys and guys that have pretty much already shown like they were past their peak in their career. So.
Exactly. And Frank says Jimmy to the Colts, bring back Buckner. I don't think the Colts would make that trade.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
APW, the only team that Jimmy G makes sense for right now is the Panthers with their quarterback issues. What are your thoughts on that? The Panthers, I think they have the 6th overall pick. They could go offensive tackle. They could go quarterback. I have a feeling if they don't go quarterback, then I think they could be more willing to trade for Jimmy. But what are your thoughts? And Jimmy, I think Lynch said earlier in the press conference that they're not expecting Jimmy to throw until about the end of June. So what are your thoughts on the Panthers possibly being interested in Jimmy G?
It's hard to say. I mean, he's not ready to throw yet. We don't know what he's going to be in 2 months. If you're a franchise, and I mean, you would want to have that kind of already figured out when you make the move for the guy.
Right.
But I mean, if they're going to compare him to Baker Mayfield, who's an off-field headache, compared to Jimmy, who's like a saint, other than always taking pictures with the ladies all the time. I mean, it's really up to them. I hope they make a move on him. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Then we wouldn't have to talk about it anymore. The fact that it's April, almost May, and we're still about Jimmy Garoppolo, it really pisses me off.
like Grant said, how can you even say that with a straight face?
That's his daily, and he's like, and Jimmy Garoppolo is still a 49er. I love how much of a troll he is. It makes me happy.
But do you really think that this offseason has been a failure?
No, I don't think it's been a failure, but I think that it could have been a whole hell of a lot better. I think the 49ers, sometimes John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan come off as if they think people are stupid and that they're the smartest guys in the room, which most of the time they are. And, my brother is a Dolphins fan. He's like, Jimmy's still on the team? I'm like, yep. He's like, how? I'm like, don't know. What's going on with Debo? Don't know. He's like, man, that's messed up. I'm like, tell me about it. There's one side of the fan base that is telling me to shut up, and John Lynch don't got to say nothing. And then there's the other side of the fan base. It's like, yeah, screw that guy, trade him. they definitely could have handled things a lot better, but who knows? I mean, the draft could happen and Debo could get a new contract and Jimmy could be gone. And then all of a sudden I'll be, you know, dancing in the rain, singing the praises of all that. But until that happens, I'm going to remain confused.
I can totally understand people's gripes with Jimmy G still being on the roster. I think in a best case scenario, he didn't get the shoulder surgery, and you know they were able to rehab it, and everything went great. Then he would have been more likely to have been traded, but of course that doesn't happen. A lot of things go wrong in a day, so you know that's definitely disappointing. With Debo, I don't know what else they could have done. I mean, Debo's under contract for one more year. They don't have to do anything.
Yeah, there's so much mystery to this situation. Like nobody knows anything.
Right.
If we could, and like something will get put out by somebody, and he'll say that's not true. Oh, somebody spoke to Debo Samuel, and he says he does not want to play for the 49ers, and then Debo comes out and says these media guys run with something. Then he puts out another story on something, and then he takes it down. It's like, dude, make up your mind. Do you want to be here or you don't? Right. If you don't, put a post up saying you don't want to be here. Like, I don't understand this. Like I said,
and I don't understand why he wouldn't want to be here. I just don't get it.
Yeah, where could you go that's going to be better?
Right. Yeah.
Tampa? That's not happening.
No.
You're not going to the Rams.
You want to go
then again, they could find anybody to sign him. And the Rams signed Debo to the largest wide receiver contract in history. And you're like,
that's
what?
Never happening. That's never happening.
No, they would never trade him to him. But I mean, the Rams, you think the Rams are done and they make another ridiculous Madden turn off the salary cap move. Yeah. And so, yeah.
Shay Martinez says, take the number 1 and trade back. And that was when John said, would we trade Debo for Jacksonville's number 1 overall pick? We got 49er minded in the building.
What's up, Bashar?
Appreciate you coming through, man. He says, I'd be perfectly fine if we got the 10th, traded down a few spots for an edge or center and drafted a wide receiver in rounds 2 and 4. I definitely respect
you.
That,
are speaking my love language right now.
Absolutely. We've already reached an hour, man. I appreciate everyone tuning in to the stream from Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Make sure you guys check out Aaron, a.k.a. 49ers First Takes, on all his social media platforms. The link is in the description. Before I get you out of here, just what grade level would you give the 49ers offseason so far?
I would give their offseason right now, the more I thought about like some of the moves they made that maybe in the beginning weren't as sexy. I'd give their off season a B-.
That's fair.
The minus going with the Debo situation. That's my minus. But if you think about a lot of the moves they made, they really assured up special teams. Yeah. They got a shutdown corner, or at least that's what we think. And they upgraded some depth, like wide receiver. They brought in 2 guys. Who knows if those guys are going to make the roster? But I mean, they are short. If they don't keep those 2 guys,
that's probably a good sign. Right? It's probably a good sign. I mean, that they've drafted someone or they signed a UDFA. That's better.
Right. I just, and I think they're doing, I mean, the fact that they got Aziz Shahir and
Brunskill back.
Did I say Aziz Shahir? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The fact that he's back and that linebacking core is good. The way we upgraded our depth on the defensive line, it would be an A if we had an answer at center, and if Debo was freaking re-signed and ready to go. But I think overall, as a depth and some of the moves that they made, I'm really, really happy overall. But I mean, I'm still irritated with the Debo situation. I know one of the questions you wanted to ask me that we're probably not going to give time to just touch on it real quick is McGlinchey. Sure. That was one of the things that I think we were going to talk about.
Yeah.
Happy to see that McGlinchey's probably going to be ready for training camp. Listen, I'm not the biggest McGlinchey fan as far as pass protection goes, but in the running game, he's untouchable.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe he comes back and he's a better offensive tackle, but compared to the options that we've had last year with him coming back, that's just another question mark we don't have to worry about. So I'm happy that McGlinch is coming back. I'm happy that Kinlaw is looking like he's going to have a healthy return this year. So I'm like I said, it would have been an A or an A+ if the Debo situation was figured out, but we'll see. We still got time, I guess.
Yeah, we still have time, and I think they will get it rectified, whether he's traded or whether we bring him, or whether he plays out his final year, or whether we sign him to an extension. So I think we'll know, though. We'll have some indication of that definitely this weekend. And I love how some viewers are giving their letter grade for the 49ers off season. Looks like NBS gives the 49ers off season an F.
Ryan ain't playing. He's like, nope, F.
Frank says maybe a C. And we got Jag in the building. Hot diggity dog. Appreciate that $5 donation, Jag. He says, what's good? Jay and the Bay and First Takes on something positive 48 hours until the draft. Fired up. Let's go Niners.
I'm in rare form right now because I'm not usually this positive. So
absolutely, man. Well, tell the people where they can find you and what to expect from your channel if they already haven't subscribed.
49ers First Takes on YouTube is where you can find me. Twitter is the same with Instagram. I put out daily update videos as much as I can. I will be going back to work soon, so they won't be as often. I do post-game reactions out during the season. I do collaborations like this with Jay. One of the guys that's in the chat right now, two of the guys that were in the chat, Ryan from No Border Sports, Crypto Ryan, and Bashar from 49er Minded. There's going to be a collaborative weekly show also with Celts Chronicles. Jay, we're going to try to get him in there from time to time when he's able. And just something a little different. I've never had a weekly show on my channel, so it'll be fun. It'll be a multi-guy collaboration. There's going to be a little twist to it once we put it out there. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. For any of you who watched wrestling in the past, I'll put that little tidbit out there. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to me and Jay are going to do a reaction to the draft on my channel. What does he say? May 1st, Jay?
I believe so. I think that's Sunday, I believe.
Yeah, this Sunday, me and Jay will talk post-draft reaction. Hopefully, we'll be talking about Debo still being on the team.
Yes, yeah.
I really hope so. As much as I'm whatever about the front office and Debo, I want the guy back on the team. He's one of our best players. He'll make Trey Lance 10 times better. Right. I mean, look what he did for Jimmy, and he could only do much more for Trey. So we'll see. Yeah, that's what's up.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on tonight, man, and I'm honored to be a part of that new show that's coming out, or that's in the works, I should say. So, yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on. It's been a blast. That hour went by just like that. Super fast. I know. Huge shout out to everyone in the chat. Hey, man, you have a good rest of your night. Do you plan on streaming during the draft this week, or just doing reaction?
I might do. Say the Niners do something and they trade up into the first round, and they make a move. I'll probably either do a video or maybe a quick live stream, maybe like a half an hour. Yeah. But yeah, I might make a videos after each pick, right? Or maybe wait until they make. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's everybody's going to be doing it, so it's kind of like one of those things. I'll be lost in the shuffle, but I'll try to do my best. But I might try to come on. Like if we make a second round pick that I think is awesome, and I'm freaking excited about, and I lose my mind, then I'll probably jump on. So we'll see. It's kind of like I said, I've been not as active with the live streams lately, but now with the draft and everything, I have something to talk about. So
no, absolutely, it's been a unforgettable offseason, that's for sure, and the draft only a few days away, man. I can't wait. But man, I appreciate you coming on. It's always a blast having you on, man. I think we got good chemistry, man. And you have a good rest of your week, man. Thanks for coming on.
All right. Thank you, bro.
All righty. You have a good night.
Thanks.
All right. That was 49ers First Takes. I know you guys know him already, but if you don't, make sure you check him out on his social media platforms. Make sure you subscribe to his YouTube channel. Check him out on IG and Twitter. 49er Minded weighed in on the free agency. He says he'd give the 49ers a B-. That's definitely respectable. I would agree with that. And 49er Minded, we definitely added players from free agency to help the special teams department, and we have a new special teams coach. So I think we definitely shored up some holes this offseason. Frank, Gold Niners, appreciate that. Travis Berg, what's good? Appreciate you coming through, man. I'm just getting ready to end the stream. But a huge shout out to everyone coming out tonight. Appreciate the kind words, 49er Minded. Appreciate the super chats. Jag, Blue True, Corey Davis, and I think that might have been it. But man, had a great turnout tonight, and man, the draft is only a few days away. I can't wait. But a huge shout out everyone watching Jay and the Bay Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Appreciate everyone coming through and supporting Jay and the Bay and 49ers First Take. So everyone have a great rest of your night, and thanks for watching your boy Jay in the Bay. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Go Niners.